Hello again with another episode of the Black Superheroes Matter podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Christian, and today we got Kelvin Blackman from Royal Games and Legacy Comics. You can follow him at Legacy Comics 360. Kelvin is the owner and founder of Royal Games, making comic books, prints, as well as games suited for royalty. Kelvin aims to entertain and maybe even enlighten with royal products. So we dive deep into a whole bunch of different stuff, obviously COVID related, but also just what it's like to be a Black creator in this day and age. And so without further ado, let's get it started. I wanted to take a break from the episode to let you know that we have some merch that is available. Over at Iltopia Studios, you can find the Black Superheroes Matter art book, which is a collection of illustrations that reimagine your favorite superheroes through the eyes of children of color. We also have a bunch of sticker packs, over 120 different sticker designs of your favorite superheroes. More importantly, we have our Color Me Super coloring book series. Definitely check out the merch at shop.iltopia.com or blacksuperheroesmatter.com. And now, back to the episode. I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on the podcast with me and everything. And I'm just really curious, how is everything going with you? With the coronavirus and lockdowns and people sort of quarantining and conventions are shut down and stuff. How's everything?
Everything's okay. It hasn't affected me a whole lot. I work at home anyway. Stores are shut down, and that's been kind of a pain to deal with. But other than that, I haven't been affected a whole lot with that. I'm ready for it to be over, but I don't know anyone personally who's been affected by it, but yeah,
Okay. Yeah, it's just one of those things that like regardless of if you know somebody or whatever, it just it's just this is the day and age that we're living in, where things are just shut down because you can literally walk past somebody and get sick and possibly die. And I think that's sort of it's like cryptic as that sounds. It's something out of a comic book. Like like you can't write this, like you can't write this any better. It's just kind of crazy. And so you're a content creator, and you like work from home and everything. So like, what do you do creatively?
Okay, so the name of my business is Royal Games, and what we do, we pretty much create entertainment fit for royalty. So right now it's mostly just me, but we make things like video games, comic books, apps, things like that. So that's
okay.
That's what we do. Right now, I'm focusing on my comic book. The main thing I started out to do was to create video games. But that takes a lot of time, and I'm self-funded. So while I'm working on the game, bills are still due. So I wasn't really able to afford to work on the game, to its completion. So yeah. I switched gears. Right now I'm focusing on my comic book, my comic series, Legacy, same franchise I was going to make the game with. I just took the story and decided to make it into a comic book in order to fund the development for the game.
Okay. Yeah, it's I think it's crazy to hear that like you started off trying to make a game and you got into comic books. I think for me, it's kind
Yeah.
of the opposite. I started off in comics. Well, I started off trying to do anime.
Hold on, hold
Yeah.
that thought. This mic is messing up. Let me give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't. Okay. Okay, hello?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, it's interesting that you sort of you started off trying to make a video game and now you're in comics. Because I think for me, I started off trying to do animation, ended up in comics, and now I'm going from comics to video games. And, or at least like more specifically, like AR, so augmented reality. And so,
Okay.
just making stuff interactive, but it's built on the Unity game engine. And so it's like, like the finding those sort of intersections as sort of an indie publisher is, I think that's sort of the beauty of being able to jump from one thing to the next, with your property, and I think that's sort of showing sort of the power of original stuff, is that like you just have the freedom to do so if you have the tools available.
Right, right. Yeah, that that is the beauty of being independent. You know, you pretty much can do what you want when you want.
Oh
You know.
yeah, yeah. And so like, how did you get into like first? How did you even get into the mindset of one to make a video game just fresh off the bat? Like, was it something that like you sort of stumbled into? Did you see? Were you introduced at an early age? How did they even start?
Okay. Well, it started when I was about 15. Really, I played a lot of games growing up, and at the age of 15, I actually started thinking about what I was going to do when when I grew up, when I got older. And so I came to the conclusion that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make games. Pretty much at the time, an excuse to be able to still play games. That was something I was thinking about. I know it's like when people get older, a lot of times they tend not to have time to play games anymore. They're too busy, working. So I decided that's what I wanted to do. And then around when I was, so from then I started looking at games a little differently. Whenever I played a game, I start to analyze it and wonder how do they do that? How do they, how do they make that happen? What's going on? I started to analyze games, the storytelling, the graphical fidelity, things like that. I started to play games at a different perspective. And then around when I turned 18, that's when PlayStation Mobile had came out, and I had a PlayStation Vita. So
Okay.
Sony basically gave people the license to make games for the PS Vita, and I took that and I decided I would jump on board, and that's when I started learning how to do it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So it was sort of just, being just wanting to dive deeper into the medium and then, really explore it creatively opposed to just being a consumer. I think you had that, you had that inkling before, platforms like Dreams, uh like Dreams came out where, now you could actually play the game. Like playing the game is actually building a game, and so
Right.
it's which happens to be on PlayStation. So I feel like Sony is definitely Sony is definitely in the realms of sort of creating games that you could play, and I don't know, it's a very interesting space to be in with video games now, because there's so much accessibility compared to in the past that it's just, I think I'm pretty fortunate enough to be able to navigate it and do that as well. It's a yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to explore that stuff. It's a like what what was sort of like the decision to go from video games to comics?
Okay. Well, I was working on this one game, Legacy. And it was meant to at first it was meant to be like a top-down action RPG. Uh, and I got to a point to where as I was becoming older, there were responsibilities, and I realized I just couldn't afford to keep making it. I mean, now that platform, I didn't have it, I couldn't get it funded. I think I tried, but at the same time, I was pretty young, and I tried Kickstarter, and I probably didn't do the right things, and plus my skills at the time weren't, they were still pretty I guess mediocre at the time. So I mean, I can see why it probably didn't get funded then, but at the time I couldn't get it funded, and so I had to take a break, and then for a while, and then I decided to jump in with something I could finish. Like I have my comic series Legacy. Started with Audrey's Legacy #1. I got the issue done, and now I'm able to monetize. It's a product that I can make money off of, and with that, I can pretty much fund myself to make the game.
Okay. So it was really that there's this financial component that sort of steered you into making a product that you can make, but also an opportunity to reinvest into something that you initially wanted to start. And it's I think it's kind of crazy that we're in this space, and we're in this industry where you come up with an idea and you really just put it out there, and then if people buy into it, then you can make a living doing it, or you could at least get some funding doing it, opposed to just asking money from your parents or stuff like that. And so
Right.
it's Kickstarter, self-publishing, and all those are just great avenues that we're just able to take advantage of now, opposed to having to pitch and sell equity and come up with all this stuff that we probably just aren't too familiar with.
Right. Yeah. Well, we have a lot more opportunities today to find ways to make things happen, to make our dreams come true.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, literally anything is possible at this point. So you're illustrating and writing the story as well as like doing all the coding and stuff for your video game, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is pretty much like you're like the jack of all trades when it comes to the stuff that you're producing then.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Except for maybe music, I try to outsource for music. But other than that, I pretty much do, I hands on and make sure I know how to do. Well, I still know, some things in production. I could probably put a beat together, but I make sure I know at least something and what I'm doing. And certain things I'm more, experienced and I'm better at in other avenues. Certain things I put more time into. But for the most part, yeah, I'm a jack of all trades. I'm capable of, almost every aspect of game development.
Okay, man. And I think that sort of speaks to how flexible your project is, but also just how flexible the mediums are. With comics and video games, there's so many different components that go into it just to make that experience. And
Right.
it really forces you at sometimes to take on a lot of roles that you often wouldn't even expect to take on. Like for me, I like build pretty much like all my comic books are like web comics, and they're AR comics, and the reason I did that is because I've always been trying to find a way to let people access my animated stuff because I'm an animator. But most people, in order to experience animation, you have to have a video link, or you have to have a TV or like a computer screen, or a video link. But what if there was an opportunity? I kind of asked myself, like, what if there's an opportunity to uh, overlay animation onto like actual physical comic books? And so I sort of like explored that, found myself back into coding, and and really like designing and doing all these different things that I didn't really expect that I would be doing. Like mixing audio, development, app button design, like navigating stuff, navigating these different worlds. And I could only imagine that like you feel the same way, or you've experienced the same things where like, yeah, you could do these things, but you really, like, that wasn't like your initial thing going into it. You probably just wanted to just create something.
Right. Yeah. 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 When you get in, you get to a point you realize, oh wait, I gotta do this now, or oh wait, okay, now I gotta set this up. It's certain things, in especially in games, for example, that you take for granted. The things you don't really think about. Like I mean, like sometimes like UI, for example, you don't really think about it. You don't really think about it, but it's something that you got to do, and it still takes some thought. It's still part of design. A good UI still has a purpose. Uh, things like that.
Man, like especially on like a mobile device, where
Right.
I launched my first app earlier this year, and one of the things I didn't consider is that different mobile devices have different sizes, like screen
Right.
sizes. And so
Right.
what looks good on my device, I quickly found out did not necessarily look the best on other devices.
Yeah.
and and because I designed everything, it's because I had a bad design that it didn't work.
Right.
It's like you don't
Yeah.
really think about it. You don't think about that stuff until you're kind of confronted with the problem, and then you got to come up with the solution.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Them's the breaks.
Yeah, and so what projects are you like excited about or like working on currently right now?
Right now right now I'm working on a short comic. I'm still trying to with my legacy comics. Obviously legacy number one. My whole goal is we're supposed to sell 1,000 copies, and I'm about to run a campaign for it. Road to 1,000 sales. We've gotten quite a bit now, but I'm gonna push to meet the goal. And I'm gonna make a short comic, something that's free for Instagram. It's gonna be an Instagram comic, and it's gonna tie into the main series comic, and it's just kind of to show people what they can, give them a taste of what they can expect from my type of comics. And it's 10 pages, and that's kind of what I'm working on. And I'm also, in creating content, I'm trying to keep my Instagram followers engaged, things like that.
Okay. And so you mentioned the road to 1,000. Obviously, I would imagine you had some sort of really interest in doing like conventions and stuff this year too.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, funny enough, I actually have never been to a convention.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it was my goal. This year, we were supposed to go to some conventions this year. That was the plan, but then the virus struck.
Yeah.
And then that kind of put me into all of that. I don't know how. I don't know. Maybe later this year. I don't know, or it just might be done for this year.
Yeah. It's from what it's looking like. I live out in Portland, and the Rose City Comic Con is like one of the big ones in the Pacific Northwest or on the West Coast, and like in September, and they just announced that they're not going to be having a convention this year, and so I would imagine that if if Rose City isn't going to be going in September, then most of them are probably going to be shut down this year.
Right.
Because a lot of the conventions are only run by like a handful of companies, and so I can only imagine. Yeah, I can only imagine. It's like, dang, man. It's
Yeah.
It's
I mean, yeah. I guess next year.
yeah.
Hopefully next year I can start meeting my followers and meet new people and push my comic even more with face to face interaction.
Yeah, I think it ultimately becomes that sort of waiting for an opportunity to shine mentality, where
Right.
because just a lot of people that I've been talking to, it seems like they have something coming out pretty soon that they've been working really, really hard for, and they were really excited to sort of let people see it and get it out there. And now it's they're kind of forced into a situation of kind of really fine tuning the content and still just creating content, because that's really all you can do at this point. Like
Right.
because even though like book sales and everything are the you could do that online, uh
Mhm.
nothing, it just doesn't compare to sort of the in-person buying experience that I think a lot of people are used to.
Right.
And it's just it's just going to be really interesting to see how how this the ramifications of this on sort of like the Black creative industry, because like you've sort of experienced half of the industry already with with Kickstarter and really doing like your own self-publishing thing. And so really
Right.
the other avenue is conventions. And you take that out, then it's like, okay, there's going to be a lot more Kickstarters. There's probably going to be a lot more self-published stuff online from this now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, it's like so so how is sort of like just navigating the indie space been for you?
It's hmm. It's been interesting. When you're independent, everything's on you. So I've had to figure out the best ways to build a following. The best ways to do sales, to actually get people to buy. I mean, because when I first started, because games are will probably be a little easier. This is a different industry
Yeah.
to sell. Yeah, comics, it requires a little bit of work. Games oftentimes, for the most part, well, it's a little different now. You put a game out on a certain system and people will see it.
Yeah.
Like
Like it
and
kind of sells itself if you just show a
yeah,
video of the gameplay.
yeah. But comics, they require a bit more work. You gotta show it, and then you gotta me, I manually, and they don't my book doesn't sell enough for me to like run ads or anything like that. So I had to pretty much put in like sweat equity. I had to go to people and talk about my comic and put it in people's faces and things like that. I've had to network, and I'm trying to network with some more people, which I plan on doing more with this campaign. Uh, but yeah, navigating as independent, everything's on you. You just got to figure out how to do everything. I mean,
Yeah.
there are tutorials and courses online which help with that. But that's the thing about being independent. Everything's on you.
Yeah. Ultimately, you got to do the work, or you gotta pay somebody to do the work for you, and that often can be pretty difficult when you're strapped. Especially, I mean, especially now, because people are losing, non-essential workers are losing their jobs, and if you don't work, if you don't work in sort of the tech and the creative sector already, then it does, it does really put you in a bind. And so, it's but this too will pass, and we will be looking back at this, moment, and with either regret or appreciation. And so, it just only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But well, yeah, it's one of those things. You just gotta get through it, and then in time, well, like you said, you'll either look at it with regret or appreciation. I mean, I'm glad me or no one I know has been affected by it, or has been gotten sick by it. No one I know has by it or anything like that. But yeah, things are kind of things are starting to pick up now. Certain things are starting to open up. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just really curious because I think they said if there were to be a vaccine created, we wouldn't expect it until maybe spring of next year. So like 12 to 18 months from now. And so, just understanding how medicine, like the healthcare system works. It's like,
Right.
it's just, you just got to make sure that you take care of yourself, take care of, your body, your health, and find ways to navigate it that aren't detrimental to you. And
Right.
I think obviously making books and making comics and stuff like that doesn't necessarily put you in harm's way because you kind of have to be indoors for all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's so if you want to save a life, make a comic.
Right. Yeah. 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 I'm fortunate. That's one thing. This is kind of what what I prefer. I rather, a lot of people don't have the discipline to work at home, but that's what I rather do. I rather, be at home and get the work done and stay on top of myself, rather than have somebody over my shoulder micromanaging, have with the whip hitting me in my back, telling me to get back to work.
Yeah.
Cause I need to drink water or something.
Yeah.
This is what I prefer to do, and I love doing it.
Oh yeah. Like I think it's kind of crazy because I was so I just moved into a new place. I mean, I guess I didn't just move, but when I got to my new place that I'm living at now, one of the things that I was talking to my girlfriend about was sort of having a clearly defined space to work and a space to live, and it often when because we live in a one bedroom apartment, and so it's often really difficult to sort of have a workspace and a like a home office and a actual home when you live in a one bedroom apartment.
Right.
There's compromises that need to be made, and on top of that, like I have a book press because I make my own books, and so that takes up space in the one bedroom apartment and also my desk. And so I was like, I was really pushing this year to try to have my own sort of office space that I could go to, like leave the house, go to my office, and then when I leave my office, I leave the work there. But now
Right.
it doesn't look like that's going to be a a feasible plan because I took a financial hit, obviously, like a lot of people, but also, like it's kind of like, it's like The Walking Dead outside right now. Somebody could cough on you and get sick, and then like there goes your hopes and dreams. And so, it's definitely trying times, and I really didn't think that going into this year I would have to deal with that reality.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy to see a lot of memes online. It's like nobody expected 2020 to to turn out how it has so far. man, it's crazy. Those New Year resolutions. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Like it so I used to be a personal trainer, and one of the things was when people make their New Year's resolutions, how long will it take for them to stop going to the gym? That's always the big thing. Like there's a huge spike in like attendance at gyms January and February, and then they die down, they like plummet in like March and April. And it's crazy how like gym memberships like literally are non-existent at this point right now, and it's not because people didn't want to go to the gym.
right.
Like
Yeah,
it's just that's the world that we live in right now.
yeah,
What can you do?
right. Yeah. It's crazy, and I mean a lot of these businesses are really they're really taking a hit. The ones that can't open, they're pretty much losing money. I know a lot of people have like they have attitude problems. You go to the store and it's like the customer service in a lot of these places have gone. Like
Yeah.
like I don't know if you experience the same thing, but I've been experiencing people the customers they just haven't been as what's the word? Good on the job, the customer service. I mean, probably because they're I guess they're putting themselves at risk. So I understand that, but
Yeah,
man,
it's. I think it's just there's so many. Yeah, there's just so many things. Especially, I think what the thing that gets me is when you are at a store and like you can just clearly see that somebody doesn't care about what's happening, where
right.
they're just like, okay, well, this is just another day. I just don't have to worry about traffic right now. It's like I don't know, dude. Like this is real. Like this is something you should actually take seriously. But
Right.
it's this. What can you do? We live in a free world, and there's atrocities and disparities and all this stuff. It's all you could do is sort of you know try to navigate it as best as you can, and use this for inspiration in your creative stuff. I mean, like like that's it.
I decided I was gonna, when it got to it in my series, I was gonna have create and one of the arcs kind of taking inspiration from what's going on. I mean, a lot of the stuff legacy is based off of certain things that happen in history and things that are gonna take place. It's based off of real life and in certain ways. And I decided I was gonna add this when the time came.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's we're going to see some like post coronavirus pandemic. Like we're just going to see a wave of like new stories, video games, freaking comic books, graphic novels, animation,
Oh
movies,
yeah,
short films. Like we're just going to see a whole bunch of that. From the
yeah.
perspective of like being quarantined and isolated to being in being in the Wild West. And for
Right.
anybody that was sort of played out on the whole zombie concept, I mean, we're definitely going
Mm.
to see a whole bunch of those now. It was
Yeah.
like The Walking Dead is going to be playing for another 3 more seasons.
Right. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if the ratings got boosted because of that.
Oh
Because of
my
the
gosh. Yeah. It's we're going to see like random historical period pieces on the Spanish flu and all these now. Like Assassin's Creed Spanish flu.
oh
Yeah. And so
yeah.
yeah, again I thank you for, taking the time to just hop on the podcast with me and share a little bit about what you do and what you're doing in the creative space and how you're navigating this whole indie publishing video game, area. And so where can people find your stuff at?
You can find it mostly on Instagram. Under we go by Legacy Comics 360 on Instagram. We went by Royal Games, but we decided to change it because it was too many for marketing purposes. But Legacy Comics 360. My website is Royal-Games with a Z.com. I went with Dash because somebody else had Royal Games. Okay. But yeah, Royal-Games.com and Legacy Comics 360 on Instagram. That's where I'm at, and that's also where you can buy my comics at.
Okay. Cool. And again, you're working on that, trying to get 1,000 copies. That's that's a journey that I would make a little docu-series about. Because I would definitely tune in and just see sort of the progress with it. Because that's a feat in and of itself that I don't think many indie publishers could say. And so I wish you all the best with that.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a grind, but we're making some pretty good progress on it, and I'm determined to see it through.
Oh yeah, and that's all it really takes is that determination and diligence, because at some point you're going to hit that number, and you just where the question is like, will you wear it as a badge of pride, or will you just see it as sort of a fluke situation? At the end of the day, that's pushing numbers, and numbers don't lie.
Right. Right. Yes, that's right.
Oh yeah. And so again, I really appreciate the time. I really thank you for taking the time to chat and everything. And I really wish the best with everything that you have going on. Especially with the video game, with the comic book series, and all that. We'll definitely be on the lookout for you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you having me here. It's been a pleasure. It's been great. I'm glad you did this. I'm glad you're doing this. I appreciate it. I appreciate it for you reaching out and having me here.
Oh yeah. I think that's the beauty of being creative and being in this space where I'm fortunate enough to sort of give back to my creative community, and particularly Black people in this space, because quite often we don't necessarily get our fair share of opportunities, and
right.
It's often I've been passed up for opportunities, and just areas of progress in that space, and I see this as a platform with all the things that are going on. People need community right now, and so I'm just just happy to provide a platform and to do so, and use some of my expertise in content marketing and all that stuff to kind of help people out. And so just keep doing what you're doing to push the creative community forward, push the Black culture forward, just keep doing what you're doing, because especially in video games, I mean, like, I've had other episodes where we've kind of alluded to it, but there ain't no Black people in video games. Like it's that market is it's open, and it's open and able if people have the desire to pick up Unity or understand Unreal or learn a little bit of C# or anything like that. Like it's there's definitely opportunities now, because I mean, most of the game engines are free to just develop on. Like,
oh yeah,
like it's which is kind of crazy.
Right, and it's easier than it's ever been to get your game on one of the main platforms. The new systems are about to come out, but Microsoft and Sony and even Nintendo have made it a whole lot easier to put your game on their platforms.
Oh my gosh, like especially because what engine do you build on?
Unity.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like that freaking the Unity asset store, man, like that thing is amazing.
Yeah. I bought a few assets off the asset store. Specifically, it was it was kind of like a fast track to being able to put water in my game.
Oh yeah.
Coding physics for that. I was like, oh goodness.
Did you? I got I think I got this plugin, or I got this asset called Aquas, like Aquas 2, like Aquas 2020 or Aquas 2 or something like that. I think I'm using that one for like all of my water. And because I use with 3D animation, like one of the big things is like rendering, and so I don't so what Unity is doing now, if you've like followed any of that stuff, is that like Unity is Unity is a real time render engine, and so a lot of 3D animation is Unity is starting to become a tool for 3D animation now, because it's a real time render, it's real time rendering. And so you don't have to wait for something to render out once you set up a scene. And so I've been like exploring just creating different like building worlds with 3D models, and using that as sort of a template for all my 2D animation stuff, and then just setting the camera up and just click and play and playing around with it. So it's been really, really fun. It's and it's all free. All that mess is free. Until you start making a lot of money, then they'll charge you.
Yeah. Okay, you use it long enough. Come on, break bread with us now.
Yep. Yeah. But again, we'll be on the lookout for everything that you got coming out and everything. And just be safe, stay healthy, and keep creating.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you, and you as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so with that, we'll call it a wrap. And I wish all the best for you.
All right, thanks, Steve. Same here.
Oh yeah, have a good one. And there we have it. That is another episode of the Black Superheroes Matter podcast in the wraps. Again, the purpose of this podcast is for people to get exposed to a variety of different things that Black people are creating in the arts and entertainment industry. The goal is for this podcast to bring light to all those and those creators, because as a community, we have the opportunity to skirt some of the problems that we've seen in this day and age when it comes to expressing Blackness. And so if you love this, definitely check out the more work that we're doing. Go to @BlackSuperheroesMatter, or you can go to blacksuperheroesmatter.com to check out the blog and the write-ups that we do on these guests. And if you're so inclined, feel free to support my work at Iltopia, where we have the Black Superheroes Matter art book, the Black Superheroes Matter sticker packs, and even coloring books, activity guides. And so if you want to check that stuff out, check it out at shop.iltopia.com. It's all Black owned. I might add, they're all handmade products, and they're all made with love for the community that has really given me the opportunity to find my place in this world. And so, again, thank you for another wonderful episode. Thank you for listening. Feel free to follow all the stuff that Black Superheroes Matter is cranking out. And excited to share another wonderful guest with you on next episode. So without further ado, thank you very much.